And to continue this morning, Andy Murray, former world number one, Australian Yannick Hoffman, 5-7-1-4. And let's see if there can be a super comeback for Andy Murray today. Well, not only his game got postponed till this morning, we have the clash between Daniel Galan and Hugo Gotson in the Leona Open ATP 250, same as Jai Murna and Francis Tifo. But let's look at games that are scheduled for today in the Geneva Open ATP 250, where Alexander Kovacevic will take on Alex Mikkelsen as David Goffin battles Nicolas Moremo. Jack Draper will be up against Themis Makak, and Christopher Eubanks battle Talan Grayspor. Federico Correa will be up against Denis Shapovalov, and the last game of today we'll see Alexander Shevchenko take on Emil Rusevori. Moving straight to Leon Open, where we have the continuation of the game between Hugo Gaston and Daniel Galan. Gaston was leading the first set 7-6, and the game went into the second set where the game got halted in 6-6. And there will be continuation of that one today. And Jam Munar, who was trailing Francis Tifo 3-4, there will be continuation of that one. But for all the fixtures scheduled for today, we have Giovanni Mpetis against Lorenzo Sonego going down by 10 o'clock, while Thiago Saibo Wild battles Pedro Martinez by same 10 o'clock. Luciano Dardari will be up against Taro Daniel, as Pavel Kotov will be up against Alexander Mula. Last game of today, we see Alexander Vukic take on Alexander Boblik. And well, talking about the ladies, there is a WTA 500 at the Internationaux de Strasbourg. Leylah Fernandez will be the first lady to be in action in the singles category of the WTA 500 tournament in Strasbourg this morning by 10 o'clock against Ludmila Savchenova, while Clara Burrell will take on Elina Svitolina by 11:30. Daniel Collins by 1 o'clock today will battle Katerina Siniakova, while last game will see Fiona Ferro against Alina Kalinar. Away from update from that end, let's talk about Rafael Nadal, who returned to Roland Garros on Monday to practice and try to figure out whether to compete at the French Open. He has won 14 times. The 37-year-old Spaniard shared up with coach Carlos Moyar. A video on the Open's official social media showed Nadal arriving by car. Let's also see if this man is good and ready to go. This is not the first time Rafael Nadal will come for a tournament and at the end of the day announce that he's pulling out. Alright, now going straight to more women's tournament this morning, and it is more of Saudi Arabia showing more interest and taking charge here. Saudi Arabia's move into tennis will now include a multi-year deal to sponsor the WTA Women's Rankings. WTA released the awards of its partnership agreement with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund (PIF) on Monday, and a move that follows last month's news that the kingdom will host the tour's season-ending championships in Riyadh starting this year, and the February announcement that it will sponsor the ATP Men's Rankings. The PIF is the first naming rights partners for the WTA rankings, and a new arrangement also includes the NBA to promote tennis at lower levels of the sport. Now let's go on this break, and we come back with talk NBA and a talk Formula One. What is the next update? Talking about Lewis Hamilton's movement from Mercedes and who's taking over. Well, remember, we're live on Facebook, Solutions 939 FM, YouTube Solutions 939 FM. My name is Oladapo Kunubi. Do not go anywhere.
News, sports, entertainment, top 100 music on your Remedy Radio dial. Solutions 93.9.
Do not touch that dial.
Okay, well, for San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama was a unanimous selection for the NBA's all-rookie team this season. And that was according to the update from the league on Monday. It was no surprise given that Wembanyama also was the unanimous choice for Rookie of the Year from the same panel of 99 voters who cast ballots for the league's awards this season. Still talking about the NBA. Well, now let's go straight to what will be going down the next few days. That is the final in the Western and Eastern Conference. Well, Boston Celtics will take on Indiana Pacers. So let's see how this will surely pan out. And Minnesota Timberwolves battling Dallas Mavericks. Well, it is not only about crossing fingers, but enjoying the game of basketball. Now let's go straight to Formula One, where Lewis Hamilton has named Andre Kimi Antonelli as a driver he will choose to replace him at Mercedes at the end of this year. Mercedes are yet to decide who will take Hamilton's seat when the 7-time world champion joins Ferrari in 2025. But 17-year-old Formula 2 driver Antonelli is one of the leading candidates, and reports understand Max Verstappen also remains a target for the team, but his Red Bull contract runs until the end of 2028. So look at that period. Will that be a payoff for coming from Mercedes and being paid to Red Bull because of Max Verstappen? But for Antonelli, he is highly rated after he won multiple junior single-seaters titles at the first time of asking since stepping up from karts to racing cars in 2021. But remember, F1 is far different from F2. But remember, you still have to catch them young. All right, now let's count down to Olympics going down in Paris in the next few weeks. Now, it is more of war and conflicts, according to updates, should not influence participation in the games, which need to convey a message of hope and support. And Israel should not be sanctioned. Andrew Person, the head of International Paralympics Committee, IPC, confirmed this. Made this known. If you look at what is happening in Ukraine, happening in Russia, happening in other countries as well. Okay, remember what is also happening between Hamas and Israel. The IPC said in March that Russian and Belarusian athletes joining the Paris 2024 Paralympics will not be part of their opening ceremony. Russian and Belarusian athletes cannot take part in team competitions at the July 26, August 11 Olympics and August 28, September 8 Paralympics, but are allowed to participate as neutrals without flags or anthems being played. So how does it sound? You're representing your country at the Olympics and the anthems will not be played because there is a crisis caused by your country or your country supporting an antagonist. Okay, so Israel, however, will fully participate in the games despite at least 35,456 Palestinians having been killed in Israel's military offensive on Gaza since October 7, according to Gaza's latest health ministry figures. Israel says its strikes are targeted at militants. Well, for those who have been following the crisis right there between Hamas and Israel, it has been a big tug of war affecting not only residents in those areas but also journalists as well. Now let's go straight to Australia this morning, and there's a problem for the Australian basketball team. Before talking about the Australian basketball team, let's step that down now, but let's talk about their football team this morning, where Australia striker Sam Kerr has officially been ruled out of the 2024 Paris Olympics as she recovers from an anterior cruciate ligament ACL tear. The 30-year-old was injured during the Chelsea training camp in January Announcing the squad for Australia's pre-Olympics friendlies, Matilda's coach Tony Gustafsson said Kerr will not return in time for the games in July. Kerr, arguably Australia's biggest sporting idol, is the nation's all-time record goal scorer. She's the latest in a long list of high-profile female footballers, including England captain Leah Williamson and Dutch striker Vivian Miedema, to suffer an ACL injury. It usually takes at least 9 months for professional athletes to return to fitness after surgery. So goodbye to Olympics. Alright, so now we're going to break, and when we come back, we talk football more. Away from Olympics, well, Wilfred Ndidi is sounding optimistic ahead of the World Cup qualifiers. Remember, Nigeria's games in their hands, but not really results that they are already expecting, most especially in the first 2 games of the qualifiers, drawing 2 out of 2, and more games need to be won to qualify for the World Cup. This and more will be what we'll be looking at on the other side. Do not move a muscle.
Every day when my children return from school, I don't recognize them. Hello, do I know you?
It's us, mommy.
But these dirty, sweaty uniforms and socks were clean in the morning. Everything don't transform. I understand though, school is hectic. It takes energy to come home this transformed. So I make sure they have some nutritious Milo at breakfast.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo.
Sọ fún wọn kó dá ẹ lójú, èèyàn yìí ló jẹ́, má lọ fọ́, á wà fún ẹ. Ibikíbi tó àṣà mọ́ pa wá pẹ̀lú ẹ. Ìwọ ló ló ní pàdé FCMB wà fún ẹ. Ìwọ ló ló ní ọ̀la ti dájú, jọ̀wọ́ má ṣọ̀lẹ. Pẹ̀lú FCMB, ìwọ ló ló ní ọ̀la ti dájú, jọ̀wọ́ má ṣọ̀lẹ.
FCMB, èmi àti Punky mi.
News, sports, entertainment. Top 100 music on your Remedy Radio dial. Solutions 93.9.
Do not touch that dial.
Welcome back to Kiko Sports Show live on Solutions 93.9 FM. My name is Oladapo Okunubi, aka Young Striker 9. Now let's come down to Niger. Remember, it is countdown to that World Cup qualifier clash going down in June against South Africa, same as the one we have against Benin Republic. And one man is already sounding optimistic. It is more of doing better at the moment, looking at the position of Nigeria and their group and what has happened so far. 2 points from 2 matches, those 2 games drawn. But a Leicester City man who has been able to help his team get promotion back to the English Premier League says all will now be restructured and get more points.
Yeah, the match is really, really important because we know where we stand at the moment. It's not a good position, to be honest. We should be honest with ourselves. Looking at the group, all teams want to, as long as you're in that group, you want to qualify. So there are no small country or small group, small team, sorry. I think where we are at the moment gives us, I'll say, more pressure, yeah, because these games are games that it should be a must-win game. I'm not saying we will win the game, but I'm saying it's a must-win game because we don't know what's going to happen. But it all boils down.
Well, Wilfred, indeed, the Leicester City midfielder speaking there. It is more of a focus and being optimistic. Moving away from Nigeria, now let's go straight to Italy. This morning, remember Juventus had a dramatic comeback last night in the game in the Italian Serie A.
And Szczesny performs a wonderful save early on to deny Bologna a dream start. Comes in from Urbanski, and now Castro across, and Calafiori! He has been a rock at the back all season long, and now he gets some personal glory at the other end of the pitch. Swung in by Danon Toy! Santiago Castro, who got that final touch. Santiago Castro might fall kindly here for Calafiori! He's waited all season long to open his account, and he's got two in one night, and it's come against the club that is reportedly linked. Fall kindly here for Chiesa. Chiesa now! And Chiesa gives Juventus a lifeline. 15 minutes to play. There goes Milik! Wonderful goal! And he's set up a grandstand finale here at the Dallara. There are 7 minutes to be played as it's given away. Yildiz now, still with Yildiz! The rising talent gets the equaliser. The future for Juve is Kenan Yildiz. Final score here. It's Bologna 3, Juventus 3.
Okay, remember Juventus, Bologna, these two teams already in that Champions League position. Looking at the positions, Bologna following that draw had 68 points, same as Juventus on the 3 and 4 positions on the Italian Serie A log. And the updates we're getting in the Italian Serie A is about Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen. Well, Napoli could not train yesterday. So, well, more headaches for Coach Finidi George. Remember, more games are also going down. The Italian Serie A. Some teams had to play. They had to play their games in hand. Remember, Fiorentina has got a game in hand. Looking at games, most teams have played in the Italian Serie A, 37 matches. But Atalanta has played 36 matches. They've got a game in hand. Fiorentina has got a game in hand. Has played 36 games. All right. So now moving away from the Italian Serie A this morning. Let's also let you know. Well, for those of you who feels like, yes, we're waiting for the UEFA Champions League, but remember, Europa League final is going down tomorrow. Atalanta versus Bayer Leverkusen. So, will that unbeaten run end tomorrow? Or will Ademola Lookman be lifting the Europa League title? Or is it going to be Victor Boniface, Nathan Teller? Where will you be putting your loyalty? In Romania, where at the Aviva Stadium. Well, let's also look at what will surely pan out in that one. Away from the Europa League final, for those of you who are mistaken, but that final going down at the Aviva Stadium, and that is going down in Dublin, Ireland, and we'll be having a Romanian referee in charge of that one. No longer news about Arne Slot, who has been put in charge of Liverpool. And Arne Slot says the opportunity to work at one of the biggest clubs in the world was difficult to ignore, as he was confirmed as Liverpool's new head coach on Monday. The Reds agreed a compensation deal worth £9.4 million with Feyenoord in April after 45-year-old was identified as a man to succeed Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. If you're a Liverpool fan, maybe you go check Arne Slot's progress and the successes. Maybe the man chosen at the wrong time, or man chosen at the right time. And Chelsea Mohamed Salah has given his strongest indication yet about his future about Liverpool by saying he will fight like hell to win trophies for the club next season, and that will be under coach Arne Slot. The Egyptian international 31 enters the final year of his Liverpool contract next month, and no deal has yet been reached between the club and Salah to prolong his stay at Anfield. Now, talking about clubs in the English Premier League, update has it that, remember, Tottenham had to move after their game, the last game of the English Premier League, and for a pre-season tour they have already started, and it's going to be club friendlies. Tottenham will be taking on Newcastle United tomorrow by 10:45 in Australia, and that is a home for Postecoglou, the coach of Tottenham Hotspur. All right, now, so we'll wrap up the show here and we'll move to the other side of the show where we look at headlines on the pages of Nigeria's newspapers. My name is Oladapo Kunubi. Well, today there's going to be a tripartite committee and the Nigerian Labour Congress coming together again on the negotiation table. And guess what? The NLC President, Joe Ajaero, will be pushing to the table. Well, we'll let you know because the money is now going above 615,000 naira. Put forward by Nigerian Labour, the organized labor. This money is going to 1 million naira as minimum wage. Can that be possible? Are we not going to be expecting more strike coming? This and more will be a focus on the other side. Dinamovo Mosso. Good morning!
Good morning, my neighbor. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Good morning, my neighbor. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Good morning, my neighbor. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Good morning, my neighbor. How are you doing? Are you feeling okay? My neighbor, my neighbor, my neighbor, my neighbor.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning right here on the Remedy Dial Solutions 93.9. SARS also says good morning to you with that record. And it's time for us to know the state of our nation as we look through the front pages of our Nigerian newspapers. Get a perspective on the trending stories with analysis and feedback from you as well. Welcome to From the Dailies. My name is Victory Onyedikachi.
Well, my name is Oladapo Okunubi. This morning, I've got the Punch and the Nation newspapers here.
All right, I'll be taking stories from the Nigerian Tribune and the Vanguard newspaper. Be reminded that we're streaming live on Facebook as well as YouTube at Solutions 939 FM. So do well to jump in on the platform and react to stories that are of interest to you. Let's get right into the papers.
News, sports, entertainment, top 100 music on your Remedy Radio dial. Solutions 93.9.
Do not touch that dial.
Alright, this morning we'll start off with the Nigerian Tribune on business news. Retail retain 24.75% lending rate. Expert advise CBN as MPC meeting ends today. Rivers crisis, Jonathan wades in, tells Fubara and Wike to work together. Warns Wike, Clark tells Ganduje and Demagun. Page 15 of the Tribune paper. State police will deepen internal security. Senate leader is speaking in that regard. The biggest story on the Nigerian Tribune paper reads minimum wage. NLC TUC says no going back on May 31st deadline. Riders to that warns NERC over refusal to reverse hike electricity tariff. Finance, Justice Ministers, NJC, NBA orders 300% salary increase for judicial workers. UBA marks 75th anniversary, boast of 35 million customers present in 4 financial nerve centers. Congratulations to them. Transcorp Power reports 142 billion naira revenue, declares 23.46 billion naira dividend. 99 panel sat over election petitions in 2023. Appeal court president. Court orders detention of Ekiti monarch-elect over alleged certificate forgery. Student loan scheme to commence with federal tertiary institutions on Friday. That is coming from the federal government. ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrant against Sinwar Netanyahu for war crimes over October 7th attack on Israel and Gaza. These are the stories on the front page of the Tribune paper.
All right, now going straight to the Nation newspaper this morning and looking at the top headlines. The states will continue to get electricity regulatory license. And you can see the picture of the Minister of Power. That is Adebayo Adelabu. Now, looking at other headlines here. No judge should bow to public opinions, says CJN. Waifu Bara, Wike should end feud now, by Jonathan. Abortion rising among married women. Society for Family Health claims. And looking at the screaming headline, with which also called for a lot of concerns yesterday. I know a lot of Nigerian students will be shocked with this headline. Federal government releases conditions as students' loan scheme begins. Rider says youths in federal institutions get first opportunity. Next rider, portal opens Friday. And you took a particular headline that says that federal university students will be the first set of people to have this opportunity. And I feel universities are universities aside, maybe if you want to say private universities, but state and federal, I mean, there shouldn't be any disparity in the start. It should be together. I just feel, that's my opinion though. Labor returns for minimum wage talks. Tripartite committee meets today. Iran holds memorial for president, foreign minister, other crash victims. These are the headlines you can get and more from the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, away from the Nation, let's now move over to the Vanguard newspaper. DMO raises 4.9 trillion naira for ways and means security. De-escalate tensions in Rivers. Jonathan appeals to Wike and Fubara. EFCC on the fire as Oba of Benin alleges bribery cover-ups. Electricity / minimum wage. NLC TUC mobilized for strike. POS, anger, frustration over high cost of cash withdrawals. As operators gradually take over banks' ATM function, customers relate sad experiences in state. Banks sell cash to us. Delta POS operator. I can't even remember the last time I used an ATM machine. And every time I pass an ATM machine, maybe coming to work, I see that it's usually empty these days. Ever since the cash crunch, we've seen more POS operators, become prevalent. It's become a business right now.
Actually, it differs though. I was at a particular machine stand that should be on Saturday. But the only stress there is that particular machine was dispensing 5,000 naira. So if
that's the challenge. So banks are now regulating the amount customers withdraw. This was never the case before the cash crunch situation. And it's been alleged that most bank owners are the owner of, they have POS outlets at different locations. So they tend to give money to their POS operators. That is what we're hearing. I guess Nigerians will share their 2 cents on that. Federal government partners financial bodies to lift 500 million Nigerians, 50 million Nigerians, I beg your pardon, out of poverty from now till 2027. ICANN Accountability Index will enhance management of public funds. Tinubu, UN, AU, Arab leaders mourn as Iranian President Raisi dies in helicopter crash. Man United want Oshima. These are the stories on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, now going straight to the Punch newspaper this morning and looking at headlines. Food imports hit 3 trillion naira over flooding insecurity, CBN. Judges' salaries reviewed 17 years ago, says AGF. Wike Fubara face-off can't destabilize Niger Delta. Jonathan. Pocket headline coming from the Punch newspaper this morning. Minimum wage. Labour insists on a May 31 deadline as talks resume today. And a banner headline coming from the Punch newspaper this morning. Student loan. 1.2 million beneficiaries listed as scheme begins Friday. And right after that headline says students in 226 tertiary institutions to benefit. Admission letter NIN BVN needed. And the picture, front page picture coming from Iran, has it that, has a headline, world leaders mourn as Iran probes president's minister's death. Lagos seals 840 event centers. Commissioner, tariff hike. Workers lock out minister. Issue 14-day ultimatum. You need to read more on that one. It's in the page 11 of Punch newspaper this morning. Now let's go straight, most especially about what will be going down today, where the Tripartite Committee and the Organized Labor will be meeting concerning the minimum wage. Well, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, was speaking yesterday with Guardian and saying that they may also be pushing forward the new minimum wage to 1 million naira because of the cost of dollar and a lot that, looking at the tariff hike for electricity and more. Here is Joe Ajaero speaking.
Labour is thinking of going up and not coming down, up to even 1 million, because of certain variables that are associated with it. After this demand, the issue of electricity tariff came up, and all other factors moved up, because every decision after this demand, fuel scarcity everywhere, everything pushed up. We're asking ourselves that if we are to meet tomorrow at the negotiating team, we are going to ask for adjustment of this. After this, even the value of the dollar seems to be going up again. So you can't have an economy that the operators of that economy are not checking inflation. They are not even checking the value of their local currency. If it continues to go up, even the 1 million will not be enough. We don't have any other country than Nigeria, and we work together to make sure that Nigeria survives. Some political leaders are collecting what they don't need. When you hear of 82 billion by a governor and all that, you discover that nobody needs it. And meanwhile, in that state, they are owing workers. If greed is limited, is caught, the workers will earn their living.
All right, Comrade Joe Ajaero speaking there, the NLC president, but I feel I've got my reservation concerning this, pushing the minimum wage to 1 million naira. But the last statement he made, this is Nigeria, this is our country, this is what we call our own. Some people don't deserve what they're earning. All right, Comrade Ayode Jachokwe is with us this morning. Comrade, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, my dear comrade brothers.
All right, so let's go straight to the issue on the table this morning, and we start with the meeting going down today. I hope you heard Joe Ajaero talking about increase, talking about naira to dollar, that the 615 may not even work, and they're likely to push their request to 1 million naira. But does that look feasible, or maybe NLC's, the organizing labor is not just serious now?
Well, you see, NLC, the labor generally, when the federal government offered 48,000 naira, the labor said they should come and explain how they arrived at that figure. That is rational, logical. And labor says, we arrived at this figure via this route, empirical, cost of living indices. Of course, they might have used, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and, high-end cities like that. But even by the time you bring it down, believe you me, a Congo of rice, 3,000 plus. Somebody was telling me yesterday afternoon or thereabout that, yes, right there in our station, the man was telling me a bag of beans, 79,000 naira. If a Congo of, I know families maybe of 4 or 6, 4 kids or dependents and father and mother, they sit around one Congo is gone. And that is just rice. You're not talking about sauce. You're not talking about vegetables. You're not talking about fish or meat. You're not talking about even plantain, all these things that should go with a decent meal. And if you do that on a daily basis, that's 1 meal. That is 1 meal. 1 meal. You can now multiply that. Let's even say just 2 meals for a family. In 30 days, that alone, you're not talking about housing. You're not talking about transportation. You're not talking about utility bill. You're not talking about all of these things. So that is just the reality. But can we do that? Are we not going to trigger something else? Even if you say the reasonable thing is 200,000 naira, are we not going to trigger other things? We're trying to tame inflation, and then you say 200,000. Apart from the affordability of it, even if it is affordable, are we going not to trigger other things? You understand? So we must find a middle ground amongst all of this. But
Comrade,
labor should push for other things than just cash.
Comrade, I understand the variables that led to a possible or potential increase from labor moving from over 615,000 to 1 million naira. But you pointed out something. We might trigger other things. We're still trying to work on inflation. But the argument from some, civil servants would be, if we're saying we'll trigger inflation, we have some of our leaders who do not think about that when they spend money on SUVs and other frivolities. So if that isn't increasing, the MBA, the judicial officers are currently requiring a review in their salaries. If that is not considered to trigger inflation, why would the demands of labor become such a trigger?
The judiciary workers, JUSON, are they not part of labor? They are a part of labor. You, they are a part of labor.
But theirs will be
So-
considered. That's what I'm saying. There's a potential of consideration with theirs as opposed to what labor is demanding generally.
Exactly. Even if it is 300 at 30,000, it is still 90,000 naira as the floor. It is still 90,000. Even if it is 300%, it is still 90,000. So, believe you me, labor should fight for that thing. You talk about members of the National Assembly buying SUVs. Who took them on? If we had marched on all the people that we saw fought the military to a standstill, NBA, NMA, NAN, all the civil society organizations, where are they? They fought the military that had guns. You understand? Where are they now? It is only Serap that we see fighting government on every front. And you see, we are facing the federal authorities all the time. What about the state governors? I said it yesterday. In Oyo State, for instance, what is the revenue generated from PMS? How many Okadas do we have in Oyo State? How many Okadas do we have? How many tricycles do we have? How many micras do we have? And how many of those buses do we have? How much does each of them pay per day? How much comes in? Who takes what? And that is apart from the fact that it is not even in the purview of the state to take such revenue, but that of local government. And we have local government crippled. That is what the governors are the ones we should face. It is not, we are talking about agric. We're talking about food. Is agric on the exclusive list? Agric is not. Agric is on the concurrent list. What are the governors doing? What are they doing? We have not identified the enemy. Look, the amendments to the Constitution that were effected at the National Assembly, it is the states that aborted the autonomy of the local government under the control of the state governors. We have not identified. The governors are the enemies of the people. We should identify them correctly and do the needful in that regard.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about the bigger story on the Vanguard newspaper in a bit. So apparently, it's been said in different states, particularly in Delta, that there's been an increase in collecting money from POS, and the people in Delta State are also saying that they can't even get money from ATM. I don't know if that's the situation here in Ibadan, but more often than not, when I pass through some ATM machines, I either see that they're not working or people are not even there. I, for one, cannot even remember the last time I used an ATM machine ever since the cash crunch happened, early 2023. So my question is, because there's been alleged and speculations that some people in the bank own POS operational centers in different locations, so they rather give money to their POS operators as opposed to people in the bank. And we're also seeing reports that the banks now regulate the money you can get over the counter or from POS machine. Where is the EFCC in all of this? This is where their purview. This is where you should see them more proactive. So where are they in all of this?
That is sabotage. I mean, that is the classification of it. You see, there must be a ratio. A bank has debit machine, their own debit machine, and they have probably 1,000. And then they have 100,000 POS machines out there. Of course, you know the ratio. Believe you me, people don't actually go. Just like you said, I can't remember the last time. I think it was sometime in the night. It is only in the night, and you don't have to consider the distance of the nearest debit machine to you. So you just go to the nearest POS machine that is available, point of sale service. So is it not better for us to have cash available in the POS with the POS people rather than?
So we should pay to get money.
Well, you're not paying to get money.
No, we're paying them some percentages from whatever we're withdrawing. In Delta State right now, they're paying 300 to get 5,000 naira.
And they'll still be charged. There's still going to be charges.
Your bank will charge you.
You are paying for services.
Oh,
You have the option of yes, they are rendering service. They are rendering service, but if they are flouting the law because they are regulated, they are regulated in the sense that this is how much you should charge for 5,000 naira. There is an official tag to that. Then you go to your bank. You see, me, I'm not going to pay outrageous for services. I will never do that.
But why are the banks not giving out this money? I think that's my question. And where is the place of EFCC in investigating the speculations or alleged stories raised by Nigerians that they go over the counter and they're giving 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, and they can't withdraw more than that?
Nigerians are harvesters of ruin. Well, we exploit the situation. You know what happens during petrol scarcity? Anytime it happens, you know what the petrol attendants do? We are harvesters of ruins. We exploit ourselves. Government exploits us, and we do worse to ourselves, and we just wish to blame government. You see, it is an individual thing. I take a stand. And if I'm not going to pay 300 naira for 5,000, I'm not going to ever do that. What's the sense in that? Anything above 100, I don't pay. I don't pay, even if it is 150. I don't pay.
So during cash crunch, you didn't pay to get money. You didn't pay that ridiculous amount.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you had people in the bank.
No, not even the bank. I was damn lucky. A sister of my wife had quite a large amount of cash with her and handed it over to my wife. And my wife kept saying they will extend this thing. She had been told within the banking system. So, in fact, I think it was about 500,000 cash. So, in fact, we had to give it out to one POS guy, So, I'm not going to pay outrageous sums for services because I know the value of services. You imagine 100 naira in 1,000 places in a day now. I mean, that's that's decent money, even if they get only 50. So, EFCC, instead of going after Yahoo boys, this is financial crime. You understand? And it amounts to economic sabotage. That is what EFCC should be looking out for. A lot of crap is going on in the bank. They were the ones doing the speculation in the foreign exchange market that brought us to this location. Doing round tripping and all of that. Until this CBN, the current leadership, stepped in and enforced regulations. Regulations must be enforced.
Okay, regulations should be enforced. Now, let's talk about the Nigerian student loan. And if you look at the headlines this morning, saying that the first beneficiaries will be federal institutions. And I was thinking, is it only in federal institutions that students need this loan? What of those in state institutions, polytechnics, universities, colleges of education? And if you look at the breakdown on the Punch newspaper this morning, and you look at this, it says 1.2 million students in the federal universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and technical colleges would benefit from the first phase. Where do you put the state students? Where do you put them? Do you want, because if you look at the fees they are paying, I think the federal is even cheaper than state. So who needs it more, or who needs it the most?
Well, for me, that simply tells me the level of preparedness and capacity of the fund to handle. You have the statistics. You have the statistics from JAM. You have the statistics from the universities. You understand? You got the numbers. And you know the spread. You understand? So you just categorize federal universities, state universities, federal polytechnics, state polytechnics, federal colleges of education, state colleges of education, special schools and all of that.
Monotechnics.
You just, what is it? We're in the age of technology. And the thing is not as if resources, and I mean financial resources, are not available. It is available by the designation of, it was going to be 100 billion, but they knew that apparently that was not going to be enough. So they got a percentage of what accrues to the Federal Inland Revenue Services. That's a very straightforward thing. So I don't know. It's just like they did with the access to easy credit, 100 billion. They say it's federal civil servants that will first benefit. That tells you the lack of preparedness. And it is still an extension of what happened to the bill, the law in the first instance. They produced an act of parliament that was simply unworkable. I mean, how will you do that? And then they had to take it back to the National Assembly. Even at that now, they are calibrating it, federal universities. Federal universities are way cheaper, just like you said, than the state universities. I know state universities that are charging $500,000 and above. And federal universities, they're not charging, they don't even pay tuition in the federal universities anyway. They don't even pay tuition. It is other fees that they pay. So I don't just get it. Are we not Nigerian? Are we not all Nigerian? We are all Nigerian. And if you say it is for students, that is discrimination. I think that should be taken up legally. That is discrimination in itself. That is discrimination. And I think that should be taken up legally by those who should. That is discrimination.
All right, comrade. Thank you very much. I was going to ask you about the preparedness because we're seeing that even in America, there might be a cancellation of student loans. So if a country like that is considering that, how prepared are we in this country? And how sustainable is the loan? But thank you so much for your thoughts this morning on the state of the nation.
My pleasure always. Thank you. Have a most fruitful day. God bless you all.
God bless you too.
How are you, Nick?
God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much, Comrade Ayodele Ajishokbe. There, we know some calls are coming in on the show this morning, but because of our time, we're pressed for time because the program coming up next, that is Babs's Iwaeda. Oh, finally. Victory can speak fluent Yoruba now. Oh, I like that. All right, so AM Updates makes a return tomorrow morning by 9 o'clock. We kick off sports show and we'll look at more headlines. And remember, Friday editions are always open mic where you can talk more. We have enough time, but remember, Favor and Damola Lafenwa will be here tomorrow morning on the other side. That is from the Daily's Corner. My name is Oladapo Okunubi.
My name is Victory Onyedikachi. Good morning to you.